All right. So I can't believe we're here again today with another chaotic Donald Trump presidency. And um, it's a sad day for America, but I have to hold on to hope that the American people will come to its senses and push back on these things that are being put in place. And I'm not even arguing the point about, you know, this DEI foolishness and merit based. We know in America that nobody gets jobs based on merit. It's based on who you know, the good old boy system. And that's what Donald Trump represents, the state of Texas represents. They want to keep the power in the majority hands. And you know who I'm talking about when I say majority. So I'm not going to split hairs on there. You know who I'm talking about. And it's representative in his cabinet. How many people did you see that look like me? And then when we talk about people of color or of who are not of European descent, they, you know, these people have a habit of saying, yeah, we have a person in down here, but that person serves at a low level. It's never anybody in a higher level. So that's the thing that I called out with Houston ISD. Mike Miles did the same thing. His whole cabinet, minus one little token man or black man, was all white women. And the only reason he has a black person now or Hispanic woman, and I guess he could say diversity, yeah, but they were henpicked and doing his bidding. And the only reason that he has Casey Bailey up there now is because of the whole investigation with TA behind my removal, or that would have never happened. So those are issues that are we're going to face. And we are going to have 4 years of chaos, discriminations, and deportation of citizens and people who are undocumented. And this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, because there are questions surrounding, this whole ICE change in policy, and it's wrong. It is wrong. First of all, these children are victims of circumstance. And for a person to say criminals can't hide in schools, first of all, we have background checks. Now, if the criminal is there, they must be assuming another name, but we have fingerprints. So that's ridiculous. These people are not criminals. And what I do want to state is that I went through the, I was a teacher, I was teaching fifth grade. I went through that whole Trump situation when he got elected the first time. It was horrible. It was horrible. And that's my experience. Before he had his inauguration, we had children on our fifth grade level who were asking other children, were their parents documented or do they have papers? They would go around and see who had papers. Like it was a whole thing with them. And I was just mortified because now you're pitting a community against one another based on who is documented and who is not. And not only does it cause problems with our students when you're talking about arrest, we have people who spouses are caught up in this whole DACA thing. I had a coworker at the time during his first administration that her husband was exactly that. He was under DACA. They didn't know if he was going to be deported, and they didn't even know, people don't understand when you have these ICE um meetings, they didn't know if he was going to show up for an appointment with ICE and be deported. Like, it was a up and it's crazy. But it was a good thing for me to experience because I now can speak to it. The children don't deserve this. And I spoke with Channel 13 today about this very issue. And I sent an email to the board of managers urging them to address the issue. The city of Houston has, for a long time prior to Whitmire, has worked with Houston ISD. And they control HPD, they are their employees, and they can come up with some sensible things. There's a better way to do this than to come into a school and disrupt it, to arrest somebody when you could just wait until they're off of work. Or how about, where they live at, pick them up at their houses. You don't like, that's not something that the staff or the children should be exposed to. Like, it's ridiculous. It really is. And I don't, it feels like slavery, and also it feels like Anne Frankish, to the point where they say that they're going in churches and going into schools. That's what Nazi Germany did. That's what they did. Like, it makes zero sense. But that was my experience with Trump's first um, term. A lot of our students came up, they withdrew ahead of his inauguration, and a lot of them just disappeared. Here today, gone tomorrow. I can remember during that time our ESL class, and it dwindled down to, I want to say, 15 children. But that is what, people who weren't in HISD prior to this, you know, they asked me, they're saying, well, are the children going to show up? You just have to wait and see. And then, at the high school level, you have to be aware, because those children can be picked up. That's one of the issues that I raised, is that ICE was waiting outside of high schools to grab or arrest students. We had some that will wait at our school, um, but it wasn't like the high schools. They were actually waiting because some of those kids were 18 or adults. So it's very traumatic. It's something that we had to be on high alert. And I don't think we had any ICE agents come into the building, because it had that policy in place. But to change it, like, from that, there's nobody hiding in schools. There's no reason for anyone to come into a school building. We have children there, we have faculty, we have staff. There is a better way to do this. And I'm not even debating the issue on whether or not immigration, what they're doing is right or wrong. What I do know is it's wrong to come into schools. And there should be some compassion for the children, because they are victims of circumstance. They're not criminals. So you mean to tell me my third graders are criminals? Like, who does that? And it's the same type of rhetoric, but it's worse than what it was when he was elected the first time. For example, I had to explain to my fifth graders at the time what he was calling their parents thugs and rapists. Like, who says that? And you have kids that are believing there are bad seeds in every ethnicity. But we don't want to talk about who's shooting up these schools because they don't look like me. They don't. But you don't want to talk about who's had these mass shootings. Like, you don't want to talk about that. I can remember when this new HISD administration wanted to talk about school shootings, propaganda in the question. I wouldn't even answer it. It said that there's no FBI profile for school shooters. There is. Now, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, there's a a profile for a school shooter, and it's not a black student, and it's not a black male student. So let's be clear about what's taking place. And Channel 13 asked me what the ask was. This administration, I don't want to call it incompetent because then, you're going to say you're talking about, I'm not going to call them that. They can't even roll out a curriculum correctly. They can't do anything correctly. But you know what? They do something correctly. They harass, intimidate, and bully people. That's what they do correctly. But they need to address the issue and what's coming back, because we don't have the same teachers that were here during Trump's first administration. We have novice teachers who don't even know how to deal with this. You got novice principals who can't walk and chew gum. Like, you have all of this uproar. You don't have experience. You don't even have an experienced people up their line. And that's what my email today was about to the board of managers. The only person that I got a response from currently is Adam Ravon. He said that he was concerned too. You would think that the two Latinas, Latinx, on the board will respond. This is their community that's being targeted. HISD is 62% Latino. And I want to see what they say. And that's the ultimate betrayal of your own community. You have a black man that responded before the Latinos, Mendoza and Martinez. They should have said something. And then Rick Campo, yeah, I don't know what he is, but he ain't Latino. He's not. He probably says he is, but yeah, that's a question mark for me. So I didn't even, yeah, I don't expect him to do nothing. He probably voted for Trump. That's probably what he did. Then there's, I did make a mistake, but it probably was right. We had two black board members. I forgot about Angela Flowers, but yeah, Nina Simone said all skin folk aren't kinfolk. And I guess she fits in that category. But, at the end of the day, they need to address this issue with the city of Houston and HPD. But, one of the questions they asked me, did I expect Mike Miles to do anything? I don't expect him to do anything but him to do what he has been doing, which is destruction of the Houston Independent School District. So I don't expect him to reach out or do anything on behalf of anybody but himself, not the children of HISD. This is something that probably the community is going to have to go to the city of Houston and ask to help with this issue. And it's something that I've thought about doing. I may go down there and speak and ask on behalf of HISD, because Mike Miles is not going to do anything. But if you're a teacher who is wondering, yeah, there are several things that can take place. Just know that there are going to be conversations behind it. and around it because my students talked about it. It was just like a eerie silence after he was elected. Um, yeah, it was eerie. And I would sit and listen, because what can you do? And my heart goes out to our staff because we're going to have staff that are impacted by this. You'll have some staff members that are gone here today, gone tomorrow, if they show up tomorrow. So just know that schools, we do not disagree. I mean, we do not agree with this new policy. Schools, churches, and hospitals should be off limits. And that just goes to the cruelty of this administration. And it goes back to Jim Crow. It does. And I had a black lady of all people tell me we're not in Jim Crow. We are. It's a different face of Jim Crow because that's what they used to do to black people. Know your history. They will pull them out of hospital beds and throw them in jail. Or if they got a medical treatment at all, they would go, they burned down schools, they burned down churches. This is nothing new. And I encourage the Latino community, if you are watching this and you have documented status, please find some courage to speak up for your people. Because at the end of the day, as you can see, I'm not Latino. I can't tell your stories. The only people that can tell your stories are you. So I'm going to end this live stream with, if you want to become a member, we have to build power. We have to. NEA is a great organization and they are fighting, but we need more power, and we build that through our membership and through our PAC donations. So if you want to become a member of the Houston Education Association, we are an affiliate of the Texas State Teachers Association and the National Education Association. You can join by going to www.mytsta.org, and become a member, because there's strength in numbers, and Lord knows we're going to need it. We're going to need the legal protection from the union, and the only way that we can build our power is through organizing, getting people on board, voting, getting communities to vote for democracy, and you all becoming a member. So it starts with you. If you're not a member of organization, please consider becoming a member of the Houston Education Association. And thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all in my next live stream. Bye-bye.